Hello, everybody. It's Lenny Murphy here with another in our really exciting CEO series for the month of March. And today I'm joined by Carol Fitzgerald, CEO of Buzzback. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Lenny. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. So, for the audience, so you know, full disclosure, Carol and I have known each other a very long time. And she is a client, a friend, a uh, just all around great, fantastic person. So there is rapport here that you may pick up. This isn't, we're not strangers to one another. So it's always good to see you, Carol.
Same here. Hope I live up
And
to
that,
that.
you never disappoint. I think in all of our years, I can never think of a time that you have ever disappointed me.
Thank
So,
you.
uh, and you notice, guys, she didn't say the same about me. So that may be something we need to talk about. But anyway, anyway. So Carol, Um, why don't you tell kind of your story? What led you to the creation of Buzzback and just yeah, give us that background and tell us about you.
Sounds good. My twins, who are now in their 20s, Gen Zers, were 2.5. And I started to go into this venture really with a love of the internet. I'm a huge internet person. And importantly, to use the internet to harness insights in research, particularly at the time. It was interesting. It was the year 2000, and most companies were focused on reach and doing things in a fast and cheap way, whereas we were very much focused on the user experience and making it interactive and intuitive and developing technology to actually do that. And today, of course, that's what we do. We use these things all day to communicate with imagery. Imagery is a really important theme for us at Buzzback because it lets us be consumer centric. So we have these techniques that are image based that help us get to emotion, surface subconscious feelings, insights, etc. And importantly, to tell the story with imagery. But I will never forget when I started the company, a couple of our first clients, Unilever and Coke, who of course are still early adopters of technology, didn't even have internet access at their desks. When they wanted information, we had to send it to their Yahoo accounts at the time, or whatever it was, because the internet was evolving and it wasn't adopted by many of the big companies that were out there.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't realize that our careers paralleled quite at that level from around 2000 and the same thing.
Yeah,
But I think the first time that we spoke, gosh, 10 years ago, something like that.
probably.
Um, Probably. And you were you were building a community platform, if I recall correctly, right? And I think I pissed you off actually on that call. um, the uh, be- because I didn't quite see that thesis that you guys were so well known for already about that usability and that specific use case, right? And then I saw you start to build like the mosaic type of solution, and of course, in the last few years, the swipe right, the swiping solution mobile. Where I'm trying to get to is I've been impressed by that ethos that you have done around the user experience, with the user also being the client, because your deliverables are some of the best I've ever seen in the entire industry.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. The incredibly visually engaging, not gimmicky, not all infographics and but really but clear and elegant in explaining the key insights. So I think you've helped pioneer that, which is really amazing. Also knowing that you were raising twins at the same time. So how did you juggle that? How did you juggle that building this disruptive business during a disruptive time in the industry, while also being a mom to twins?
Yeah, thanks. Lots to unpack there. But first, let me
Yeah.
just say, you don't piss people off, you challenge them, which we love. We love being challenged. That's how I like to think of it.
That's so
By
sweet.
clients, by our own team, et cetera. It's about growing and improving, and that's how you do it. But to come back to your question, we were very focused on the visual from the onset, although I do remember when I started the company, it took us about 5 years to actually prove ourselves and gain credibility, right? Who was that Buzzback that just started out, we were custom and we were fast and we were probably the third pillar cheap, but I don't like to think about it that way. And we introduced collage in 2004. I mean, think about that. It's an interactive, collaging technique, which now you can do on your phone, where we use images as I described to help people articulate what, they're going through, etc. But in any case, the first adopter was Nestle. She's actually a client now at another client. And it took a little while, but now that's been kind of the fuel behind our growth. So even during COVID, we continue to grow at a 15-20% rate because all these things that we had, right, as the vision of our company, have now become not cost of entry, but really well adopted. And there is a lot of enthusiasm and appetite for using technology and using technology and insights, right? But two themes that I think are important there. First of all, when you're capturing insights and you're using technology, a lot of times you can't get to emotions. We have ways of doing that, and that's really important, whether it's via quant or qual, because, as my friend Kristen describes it, qualitative tech is hot, especially because people couldn't do traditional qualitative and still can't essentially, for the past year or so. But the other piece of it is what you're describing as the visuals, and that is so important to us. Visual activation, because now more than ever, we don't have time. We have some clients who will say to us they don't want more than 20-page reports because they don't have time to digest 80 pages of a PowerPoint. So to have an interactive dashboard that tells a story, we have some of them on our website right now that are visual, that are engaging. And I heard one client also describe it as, market research is not just market research, it's about marketing the research, which is essentially sharing internally. And sharing internally is challenging right now. And we try to help facilitate that in what we do.
Yeah, I think that you were definitely an example of the right solution at the right time. By that ethos. So no surprise that you had that type of growth last year. I think there were a lot of companies that I want to say lucky. There's a little bit of luck, but there's also a buttload of years of dedication and just this is the vision. We think this is right and passion to get there. So I want to be conscious of time. So let's think about that. That okay, you arrived. Right. I mean, you're a fairly significantly sized company at this point, right? You've got a lot of employees. You win accolades all the time for being a great place to work. You had a digital billboard in Times Square recently, right? So, very cool. So, for a lot of leaders, being where you are as a company is like, wow, okay, this is great. And now you're thinking of, what's next? So, what's next? You've proven that you are right in your vision, right? You've proven the business model. What comes next for you?
Right. So what comes next in my mind is an acceleration of the tech. Tech already is encroaching on our space in both a very exciting way. So things like AI and automation, I joke and people talk about what I call the 3 A's. So artificial intelligence, automation, and agility, but those are used really differently depending on who you talk to. And, some clients think they're agile and they're not really agile, right? So that goes in all areas. And those are things that we have been adopting and will be adopting. We've been agile since the beginning, and I'll come back to that as a theme as a company. But we are continuing to adopt technology, and technology is a double-edged sword because while it's exciting and it brings us to new space, especially when it comes to insights, it's also daunting. I mean, clients are bedazzled by the technologies that's out there. They're confused. In many cases, they need someone to hold their hand, which, that servicing part and that consultative part is a key part of what makes us different in the innovation space. And it is so important to getting to the next step when it comes to learning just in general. So those are all themes that are happening. I will touch on the billboard for a second, only because we celebrated our 20th last year, which was a big milestone. We're actually coming up on 21. And I was joking because it was April and we had this big company bash planned. We got that billboard in Times Square, thinking we'd go celebrate it. Everyone, it would be a huge
Right.
surprise. And then there I was, having a Negroni in my living room by myself in the middle of COVID. But so be it. It's an exciting time, and one thing that's been important for me, and I know it's Women's History Month, and a lot of female leaders are focused on this right now. But when we got to that place where we had client adoption, it was all about our team. So how do we empower our team? Sure, you can do that with employees, but it needs to be engagement and it needs to be on steroids. So yes, we won Best Places to Work in New York, Crane's Top 100 3 years in a row. Awards are actually part of our KPIs as a company. In the fall, recently, we were nominated as a Best Supplier Collaboration with our work with Verizon. That was huge, prestigious, from Quirks. And we continue to invest in our employees that way. And I will just tell a quick story. When I started Buzzback, or right before actually, we were a beta site for Microsoft Mail. So I'm really dating myself here, but people were like, oh my gosh, no faxes, no. Meanwhile, it was liberating for me. It was, I'm going to start a company where you could work anywhere, anytime, right? Now think about that. In the year 2000, that was unheard of. And it became flexibility for our employees. And I don't only think about women leaders, I think about families who are balancing work life. I know you have several children, and it's challenging. And now it's even more challenging because the day never ends and we're bombarded. So having flexibility is key. It's also a cost of entry. And for us, it's about empowering and engaging employees because they become your best asset. And our growth, while technology is important, is all about our team and having an awesome team and growing that and being smart about it. We're above 50 now globally, but that's what it is, and that's what I think this month is celebrating to some extent. But it will always be a challenge.
Yeah, yeah. And for our listeners, I've had an ethos for a long time of I only want to do things that I like with people that I like. And Carol
Love
is
that.
one of those people. And of course, it doesn't always work out that way, right? Sometimes we have to do things we don't want with people we don't want, but for the most part, and it's that ethos, that vision, that has certainly always been, I think, why I have enjoyed our collaborations over the years, um, uh, and that looking. Future forward thinking. Now, of course, I don't think any of us expected a pandemic to force the rest of the world to our way of thinking, right? But yeah, but here we are, and that that philosophy was a competitive advantage, right? You were able to adapt far more readily to that scenario because hell, it's already how you already ran your business.
Exactly
So
right.
you just okay. Now we flip here, and I think that idea of agility, I think that's that other dimension of that's important as we move forward. Everybody, that agility is not just we can do things cheap and fast, and it's being agile in our structures, in our processes, and how we think about our business organization,
Right.
and being able to do this. I mean, I really I miss being able to give you a hug, Carol. I look forward to the day that we can do that again. But uh, but still having the flexibility for us to do what we're doing right now is still a powerful thing, right? In each other's homes, warts and all, right? My wall of geekness behind us, but um, and you've built your organization to do that, and that's my long-winded way of trying to get to that point. And I think that's fantastic. So no wonder you won those awards, because you earned them. So again, I want to be conscious of time. As you think about the year ahead, right? We're still February, right? So we can talk about the year for the most part. What is your personal KPI? what are you going to look at and say, you know what, this was a great year and this is why, because I accomplished this year.
So, for people who know me really well, like you, Lenny, it's you never let up, right? You keep going, you keep revisiting, you keep trying to improve. And a key theme for me, and a personal KPI, is to make sure that I can continue to improve our team, which becomes challenging as you grow, especially globally, even though we're connecting better now, via Zoom and Teams and everything else. But how do we invest and inspire people to keep going and to raise the bar, so that big F, flexibility, is one of our core values, and it was the hallmark of when I started the company. But as I said, it's cost of entry now. So what's next? How do we find the next thing to continue to be such a great place to work? Because what I have found is not only do we have that enthusiasm and passion, and it's contagious among our team, but it extends to clients, and they experience it. And the emails that I get are unsolicited of, oh, loved working with this person, and wish I could, and the repeat, all of that stems from having a really terrific team. So my personal KPI is to continue to do that and to build that and to professionally develop and personally develop.
That sounds like a damn good KPI to me. So that's great. Carol, it is always a joy to chat. I appreciate you taking the time today. Right back at you. I hope we've been talking about trying to do this for a long time and never did. Now that we finally did, let's make sure we do it again. And in the meantime, congratulations on all the success,
Thank
and
you.
best of luck with all the
Thank
future
you.
success.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Carol. All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.